Good morning, afternoon, or evening, cats and dogs. Today's video is going to focus on the lessons 2.4 and 2.5 guided notes on multiplying and dividing integers. This first video from these guided notes will cover problems 1 through 34. The second video will cover problems 35 through the end of the guided notes. I believe it's question 44. So let's begin by talking about our rules for multiplying and dividing integers. First, if we are going to multiply integers that have different signs, like a negative times a positive or a positive times a negative, our answer is going to be negative. You can see this in the examples here as well. So all you do is multiply the numbers, figure out if your answer is positive or negative. In this case, it'll be negative, and put that sign on your final solution. If we're going to multiply integers that have the same sign, like both positives or both negatives, your answer will be positive. So if I take -3 times -5, and you can see multiple ways to represent multiplication, this way is using parentheses, I'm going to get positive 15 because the signs are the same. So again, if you multiply integers with different signs, your answer will be negative. If you multiply integers with the same signs, your answer will be positive. Let's look at the rules for dividing integers. If we divide integers with different signs, our answer will be negative, just like it was for multiplying integers with different signs. So if I have something like -15 divided by 5, the signs are different. I take 15 divided by 5, and I know my solution will be negative. Because again, if I multiply or divide integers with different signs, my answer will be negative. Now, if I divide integers with the same sign, my answer will be positive, just like it was for multiplying integers. So if I have something like -35 divided by -9, since the signs are the same, my answer is going to be positive. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time like we did for adding and subtracting, modeling multiplying or dividing integers on the number line. Just an example here, if we have something like 3 times -40, and again, these parentheses represent multiplication. Sometimes students think, oh, is this 3 minus 40? We wouldn't put parentheses around it if it were. Now, if you have 3 minus and then this, then that would represent subtraction. But if I have 3 times -40, I can represent it like this, going to the left 40 3 different times to end up at -120. And this makes sense since I know the signs are different, so my answer is negative, and 40 times 3 is 120. All right, let's quickly go through some practice problems on this. Now, it's not a bad idea. If you want to try these questions on your own, restart the video and check your solutions, you can certainly do that. So number 1 is -8 times -6. This solution will be 48. I know this since the signs are the same, my answer will be positive, and 8 times 6 is 48. Number 2, -48 divided by -6. The signs are the same, my answer will be positive, and 48 divided by 6 is 8. You'll hear my son in the background. He's playing around behind me. So if you hear any noises, that's my 2.5-year-old. Number 3, -10 times 4. Signs are different, which means my answer is going to be negative, and 10 times 4, of course, is 40. So final solution, -40. Number 4, -20 times 7. Signs are different, my answer will be negative. 20 times 7 is 140. I just take 2 times 7 to get 14, tack on a 0, and of course, the final answer will be -140. Number 5, signs are different again, answer will be negative. 20 divided by 5 is 4, so 200 divided by 5 will be 40. But again, this one will be negative, so -40. Number 6, 4 times -8, signs different again, so our answer will be negative, and 4 times 8 is 32. Final answer will be -32. Number 7, 32 divided by -8. You see a lot of the same numbers repeated because I just took these problems from both multiplying and dividing lessons and put them all together. Signs are different. Our answer will be negative, and 32 divided by 8 is 4. So my solution will be -4. Number 8, -90 divided by -6. A little bit harder maybe to do mentally. My answer will be positive here since the signs are the same. 90 divided by 6 is 15. If you feel the need to do long division off to the side, which we'll do for number 19 down here, you can do that. You might be able to do that mentally. Maybe you know that 15 times 6 gives you 90. Whatever works easiest for you to figure out that solution, since we're still doing these problems without calculators. Number 9, negative 18 times 2. Signs are different, so my answer will be negative. 18 times 2 is 36, so final solution, negative 36. Number 10, negative 100 divided by 4. Again, notice the different ways that we might represent both multiplication and division. This uses a slash for division. Signs are different. My answer will be negative, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So my final solution is negative 25. Moving right along, number 11, negative 6 times negative 9. Signs are the same, bless you. Signs are the same, my answer will be positive, and 6 times 9 is 54. Number 12, signs are the same again for negative 54 divided by negative 9, so it will be positive. We have to know that 54 divided by 9, though, is 6. All right, number 13, signs are the same again, so our answer will be positive. Negative 15 times negative 6, we saw that up here with number 8, will be 90. Number 14, negative 18 divided by 2. That 2 doesn't really need to be in parentheses there. Signs are different this time, though. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so my solution is negative 9. Number 15, this is one that might be tricky to do mentally. Negative 6 times negative 14, signs are the same. My answer will be positive, and 14 times 6 is 84. Again, if you have to show work off to the side, feel free to do that. That's okay. Number 16, negative 121 divided by negative 11. Signs are the same. My answer will be positive. 121 divided by 11 will be 11. Number 17, negative 150 divided by negative 25. Signs are the same. My answer will be positive. 25 goes into 150 6 times. 4 25s gets you to 100. We need 2 more to get to 150. All right, number 18, signs are the same. Negative 11 times negative 11. My answer will be positive. That's 121. If we have a chance in class, we can talk about a trick for multiplying by 11 that makes things pretty easy, even for 11 by 11. Number 19 is the one that I did show work off to the side for. Negative 2,250 divided by 6. I know my answer is going to be negative. You can see my works. I didn't know this one off the top of my head. 6 goes into 2 0 times. I like to put a 0. Some students put an X. That's fine. Just make sure you don't put anything above this first 2. 6 goes into 22 3 times to get you 18. 22 minus 18 is going to get us 4. Bring down a 5. 6 goes into 45 7 times to get us 42. My son is like stacking tiny little toys, which you can hear him playing around with. 45 minus 42 is 3. Bring down a 0, and then 6 goes into 30 exactly 5 times to get us a remainder of 0. All of these for right now are going to work out evenly, so you don't need to worry about getting really weird decimals or fractions. But again, our solution for this one will be negative, so negative 375. And then last one, negative 160 divided by 4 will be negative. We are representing this one as a fraction. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So add an extra 0 on there, it will be negative 40, which seems to be a popular answer with these questions. All right, so let's talk about when we multiply more than 2 integers. We won't ask you to divide 3 or 4 or 5 integers, but we may be asking you to multiply 3 or 4 or 5 positive and negative numbers. So the sign of your answer will be dependent on whether there is an even or an odd number of negative numbers. I'm not saying if you have more negative numbers or less negative numbers. It's dependent on whether the number of negative numbers is even or odd. So the product of an odd number of negative integers will give a negative result. So if we have 1, 3, 5, 7 negative numbers, our answer will be negative. The same way before when we had the signs being different, we had 2 numbers. One of them was negative. That's an odd number of negatives, so my solution is negative. The product of an even number of negative integers will give you a positive result, which again makes sense because when we had 2 negatives being multiplied, we got a positive solution, not to be confused with when we add 2 negatives, so be careful there. This is also why when we have exponents and our base is negative, if the exponent is odd, our answer will be negative. And if the exponent is even, our answer is going to be positive. So again, an odd number of negative integers, you get a negative result. An even number of negative integers, you will get a positive result. So when we go to multiply these in 21 through 24, I do suggest that you count up the number of negatives first, figure out if your answer is going to be positive or negative, and then multiply from there. And work smarter, not harder. You don't have to go left to right. You can multiply in whatever order you want. So for number 21, I've got negative 6 times 3 times negative 2. That is two negatives. That's an even number of negatives, which tells me my answer is going to be positive. So I'll just put a plus sign there so I don't forget. And then what I want to do is I want to multiply 6 times 3 times 2. I would suggest just doing 3 times 2 first to get 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So final solution is positive 36. Number 22, we have negative 10 times 2 times negative 12. There are two negatives. That's an even number of negatives again. So I know that my answer is going to be positive. So I would suggest doing 2 times 12 first. That's going to get you 24, and then 24 times 10 is really easy. That's 240. So final solution will be positive 240. Again, work smarter, not harder. I would multiply everything but the 10, so then your calculation should be pretty easy at the end. Number 23, we have negative 4 times 7 times negative 1 times negative 2. There are 1, 2, 3 negative numbers. That's an odd number of negatives, which tells me my solution will be negative. So I would do maybe 4 times 2 to get 8, and do 8 times 7, which is 56. Don't forget that negative, so final solution, negative 56. Number 24, we've got negative 8 times negative 2 times 5 times negative 8. We've got 1, 2, 3 negative numbers. That's an odd number of negative numbers, which means my solution will be negative. What I would do is 8 times 8 to get 64, and 2 times 5, that's a great number to get. We get 10, and 64 times 10 is 640. So final solution is negative 640. These aren't really difficult. It's just a matter of one, multiplying in an order that makes things a little easier for you, but also figuring out whether your sign will be positive or negative. And again, an even number of negatives, your answer is positive. An odd number of negatives, your answer will be negative. All right, so I do have some questions for you to try on your own. What I suggest you do is pause the video, try these 6 questions, and then restart the video to see the solutions. All right, hopefully you found your solution here as I take a sip of my coffee since it's a Sunday morning. We've got negative 7 times negative 8. Signs are the same, or you could say, hey, we have 2 negatives here. That's an even number of negatives. That means my answer is going to be positive. 7 times 8 is 56. Number 2, negative 35 divided by 7. Signs are different, or we have one negative in this case, so that rule still applies for dividing. Our answer will be negative, so we get negative 5. Number 3, signs are the same. Our answer will be positive. We get 12. Number 4, we have 3 negative numbers. That's an odd number, which tells me my answer will be negative. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So final solution, negative 36. Number 5, signs are different, so our answer will be negative. 49 divided by 7 is 7. Final answer, negative 7. And finally, number 6. We have 2 negative numbers, which is an even number. Our answer will be positive. What I did when I did this mentally was I did 9 times 3 to get 27, 2 times 5 for 10. That will get us 270. All right, moving right along. So the next questions ask us to simplify expressions, and we very briefly saw this, I believe, in Unit 1. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly as well. So number 25, I have negative 5x times 6. And normally what I do mentally is I reorder it so the numbers are side by side. Like I'll do negative 5 times 6 times x. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30, and then I just tack the x on there. I do want to mention that for these problems, like the 6 does not have to have an x attached for you to be able to multiply them. You can multiply things that aren't like terms, but we'll learn in a future unit that you can't add things that aren't like terms. The reason why is negative 5 times 6 means we're adding 6 negative 5x's together, which is really adding like terms. But if I have negative 5x plus 6, there's no way to combine those together. So again, just take negative 5 times 6 to get negative 30. Oops, sorry. And we get negative 30x once we tack that x on. Number 26, I would do negative 12 times negative 3 to get 36. Tack on the AB, it's 36AB. And it doesn't matter what order the variables are in, by the way. They can go in any order. Number 27, I have three negatives. 1, 2, 3. I know my answer will be negative, so this will just be negative 5 CD. You don't need to worry about these variables being by themselves. Now you could write negative 1C and negative 1D, but negative 5 times negative 1 times negative 1 is still negative 5. Number 28, we've got 3y times 0 times negative 10z. You don't really need to do any work because there's a 0 there, and the multiplicative property of 0 says that when we multiply by 0, we get 0. So there it is. If you write 0yz, you don't need to do that either because 0 times anything is 0. All right, number 29, we've got one negative in here, this guy right here. So I would do 5 times 2 to get 10, 10 times 7 to get 70. It'll be negative 70 PQR. Just tack those variables on. Finally, from this group, number 30, we've got three negatives again. So our answer is going to be negative. I would do 4 times 2 to get 8, 8 times 6 to get 48. So we will have negative 48 EF. Again, nothing challenging. It just looks really weird with all those variables mixed in, and that's understandable. All right, so here's some independent practice for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video and give these 4 questions a try on your own. All right, for number 1, negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Tack on the AB, negative 10 AB. Number 2, negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28. Tack on the CD to get 28 CD. Number 3, we've got a negative times a negative. That's going to get us a positive. So I would write 6 EFG. Again, 2 negatives make a positive, 6 EFG. Number 4, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, times a negative 4 is positive 24, an even number of negatives, it will be positive. So we are going to get 24 HJK. And again, the order of those variables does not matter. I feel like I said 26, but that could have been me when I was thinking 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. All right, moving on to our last section of questions. We're only going to go up to through 34 here, so that this video doesn't get to be too lengthy. And then the second video, which I believe is assigned for tomorrow, will be the remainder of these guided notes. So number 31, we've got 4AB. Replace A with negative 2 and B with 3. So we have 4 times negative 2 times 3. We've got one negative. Our answer is negative. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Final solution will be negative 24. Number 32, negative 2BC. Replace B with 3, C with negative 4. So it's going to look like this. 2 negatives mean my solution is going to be positive. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. It will be 24. Number 33, 9AC. Replace A with negative 2, C with negative 4. It will look like this. 2 negatives means my answer is positive. I did 2 times 4 to get 8. 8 times 9 is 72. So final solution is positive 72. All right, pay attention to number 34. This is a little higher level. Negative 2ABC plus 3BC. Plug them in first. Negative 2 times negative 2 times 3 times negative 4 plus 3 times negative 4. All right, we've got 3 negatives in this first set, which means it's negative. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So we've got negative 48 from that first section. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. And let me delete this. Negative 48 plus negative 36 is going to get us negative 84. So yeah, these are kind of tough. Now I know we went through these rules really quickly. That's because the rules for adding and subtracting are more challenging than the rules for multiplying and dividing. Remember, an even number of negatives when you multiply or divide will give you a positive, but an odd number of negatives when you multiply or divide will get you a negative. Thanks for listening.